Coming up on Valley View News, the CSU strike comes to an end, what it could mean for students. Plus, an Italian acrobatic air team plane crashes during a practice run, killing a child underground. More on the investigation. And the Dodgers are a real catch this upcoming playoff season.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Lauren Hanna.
And I'm Najera. We start with the tragedy in the LA area. An LA County Sheriff's deputy was shot and killed inside his patrol car just outside the Palmdale Sheriff's Station. A civilian found 30-year-old Deputy Ryan Klinkenbrummer unconscious in his vehicle on Saturday evening. First responders rushed him to the Antelope Valley Medical Center, where he died. Law enforcement and first responders held a procession for the fallen officer outside the hospital, shutting down nearby freeways as deputies moved his body to the LA County Coroner's office. The suspect is identified as 29-year-old Kevin Salazar from Palmdale. Officials say he was taken into custody Monday morning after a multiple-hour standoff. His motive is still unclear. Community members came forward with the suspect's information. Sheriff Robert Luna says the department is confident it has the right person, but is still asking for the public for any information they have about the killing. Pictures for the vehicle of interest were circulating, plus a $250,000 reward from multiple agencies. Deputy Klinkenbrummer was an 8-year veteran of the department and had been with the Palmdale station since July 2018. He had just celebrated his engagement about 4 days before he was killed.
Two families are mourning the losses of their loved ones after two young women were found dead under suspicious circumstances. Young model Nicole Coates told her friend she was going on a date on September 8th, and family members discovered her body after she didn't answer any calls or texts over the weekend. Coates' death marks the second case of a model found dead in their apartment in downtown LA. On September 12th, Melissa Mooney was found dead under similar circumstances. Her death is being investigated as a homicide. Coates' death has been deemed suspicious in nature.
A man armed with two guns at a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. event is behind bars. It happened on Friday at the Wilshire Ebel Theater. Authorities say the man wore a U.S. Marshal Service badge and identified himself as a member of RFK Jr.'s security detail. The man, armed with two loaded pistols and spare ammunition magazines, tried to approach the Democratic presidential event candidate at the event. RFK Jr. security detained the man and waited until LAPD arrived and arrested him. Since his father's assassination in 1968, Secret Service protection has been extended to candidates for president. In July, RFK Jr. said he requested and was denied Secret Service protection.
The CSU Board of Trustees approved a 5-year tuition hike, which will begin in the 2024-25 school year. Valley View News' Warren Lopez went to a rally outside the CSU's office where students expressed their outrage.
That is one of the many chants heard outside the CSU Chancellor's office in Long Beach. The Board of Trustees approved a multi-year tuition hike, which will increase annually by 6% for the next 5 years. Before the vote, many students from different campuses rallied against the proposal.
There are other people out there who have an upbringing that was harsher than mine, who deserve a right to education, who deserve a right to have it accessible.
Many educational organizations appeared to also express their anger. They say that the most affordable campuses will become less accessible, especially for low-income students of color.
They're mismanaging their funds, and that's what it is. And so it's an insult that you put that on the back of these hard-working, working-class, low-income students of color.
And it's not just students that are protesting out here today, but also faculty and staff from other CSU campuses across the state.
Having a tuition increase of 6% for 4 or 5 years will price out our diverse student body, both at CSU Bakersfield and across the CSUs.
The CSU Chancellor's office was unavailable for comment, but Executive Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer Steve Relier says the hike is needed to better serve students and for financial stability. Reporting from Long Beach for Valley View News, I'm Warren Lopez.
Thank you, Warren. The United Auto Workers strike continues, and some experts say there's no end in sight. More than 12,500 UAW workers remain on strike as a part of a coordinated labor action over wages, benefits, and job protections. Representatives of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis argue the company profit strikers are needed for the shift to electric vehicles. This is the first time the UAW has gone on strike against the nation's big three automakers simultaneously.
Well, it's happening again. Gas prices are up. Prices in the U.S. have gone up to an average of $3.82 for a regular gallon. That means it has increased about 30 cents from about a month ago. California and Washington are getting hit the hardest, with prices being an average of $5 per gallon. The cheapest gas can be found in Mississippi, where the average price for a gallon of regular is $3.32. AAA says prices are rising because of the summer heat, oil prices, and oil production.
I'm lucky I don't have a really long commute, so that helps.
Yeah, tell me about it. I had about $30 more to spend this week than last week.
Yeah, I'll have to cut my trip short. The state of California has filed a lawsuit against the largest oil and gas companies. Officials say they're claiming the companies have misled the public about the risk of fossil fuels and how it influenced climate change. The lawsuit was filed in the San Francisco Superior Court and included a request for a fund to pay for recovery after recent storms and fires. In a 135-page complaint, the state claims companies have known since the 1960s that the burning fossil fuels would cause harm on the planet. Governor Gavin Newsom says companies Shell, Chevron, BP, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips should be held accountable for their actions. Other states and cities like Baltimore and Honolulu have filed similar complaints.
Southern California has experienced a spike in theft crimes, specifically smash and grabs. Valley View News' Ali Najera explains how a bill moving through the state Senate could help curb the problem and why some lawmakers are against it.
The smash and grab retail thefts have become a trend across Southern California.
You don't have to fight back because you never know what they have.
The latest incident happened at a Macy's department store in the Northridge Fashion Center. Dan Garcia is a student at Cal State Northridge and works at Vans, just 2 stores down from the Macy's that was hit by the thieves.
At the same time, I feel like it provokes them to do it more, because if there's no one stopping you, why not?
That's the concern for many. Some say laws like recently passed Senate Bill 553 hopes to end that. SB 553 was created as a violence prevention plan for employees. It will require employers to develop and implement a workplace violence protection plan with effective training for it. Congressman John Lee represents Local District 12 and says SB 553 only enables criminals to continue committing these crimes.
Not encouraging people, obviously, to get in any type of altercation. Safety should always be first and foremost. But to then take away that right, or to give a bill that says you cannot confront anyone doing that is, I think, a big part, and legislation like that, a big part of why we're in the situation we're in right now.
Shoppers at the mall or any other outlet feel this issue will continue to worsen if no action is taken against the perpetrators. Emmy Corgi, a regular shopper at the Northridge Mall, says she feels bad for the employees who are faced with this issue.
It's probably going to get worse, I'm not going to lie, but I don't know about getting stopped.
Senate Bill 553 was officially passed in order to assist employees against looters, burglars, and shoplifters from getting into any physical altercations. It's unknown how long this smash and grab trend will persist. In Northridge, I'm Ali Najera, Valley View News.
Ali, thank you. California will be spending over $267 million to investigate smash and grab thefts. It's the largest investment the state has ever made for organized retail crime. The money will be sent to 55 cities and counties, including LA City and county law enforcement. The Board of State and Community Corrections approved the funds for the Organized Retail Theft Grant Program. The sum will be used to increase arrest, install surveillance technology, and fully staff retail theft investigative units. Funds will also be included for vehicle and catalytic converter theft.
You may have heard a low rumble coming from the skies over Southern California. You might have even seen the familiar sight of the Yellow and Red Sea plains. Firefighters say you might see them more if drier conditions persist.
The downpour of rain this past winter, spring, and even summer has brought an abundance of vegetation to Southern California. But fire officials say the grass won't stay greener on the other side.
This vegetation will be dried out and become explosive fuel following periods of hot and dry North Santa Ana winds that will contribute to rapid wildfire spread.
But the LA County Fire Department has a plan. It has 10 helicopters used to fight wildfires. These life-saving aircraft are part of that fleet, and the department has something else in their arsenal.
Compared to me, these planes are large, but it's what they do on the fire lines that makes the bigger difference.
The Super Scoopers are air tankers that the fire department leases from the government of Quebec.
Super Scoopers, a 30th mission to Los Angeles County. Every year since then, 2 CL-415 water tanker planes owned by the Quebec Government Air Service are sent to California for 90 days.
The fleet also includes Helitanker 55, a copter made available to the department by Southern California Edison.
The Quick Reaction Force, which Helitanker 55 is one component of, plays a critical role across Southern California in ensuring that we can extinguish fires when they're small and before they grow and cause greater harm and damage to the communities in our service area.
Together, the helicopter and 2 planes add more than 6,200 gallons of water to the department's normal task force, keeping them ready for this year's fire season. In Van Nuys, I'm Lauren Hanna, Valley View News.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, more to come on Valley View News. An Italian aircraft crashes and hits a family in their car, and TikTok was fined millions of dollars. We'll tell you why after this quick break.
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason. Thank you.
A place to make my own, a place that I call home, this place that I call home.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
Do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms.
Thank you.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
Welcome back. It's been 1 year since the death of Mahsa Amini. Alex Perez is in our digital media center with that story and more on international news. Alex?
Ovidio Guzman Lopez was extradited from Mexico to the United States. The U.S. has looked into the handover of the son of Mexican drug lord El Chapo for drug trafficking. The extradition was successful after U.S. and Mexico's law enforcement worked together. Guzman was initially held in Mexico when he was arrested in January 2023. The operation earlier this year in Sinaloa led to 29 deaths. The leader of the Sinaloa cartel was in custody until being flown into Chicago. He is now expected in court. Attorney General Merrick B. Garland says this is the first step in tackling the cartel's organization. Guzman's attorney has not yet made any comments. Migrants were found in Mexico. Authorities say hundreds of Central and South American migrants have been found in Mexico. Officials say some were found crowded and dehydrated in a tractor trailer. Mexico's National Institute of Migration says authorities heard screams and knocking coming from the back. Some 340 migrants from Guatemala, Ecuador, Honduras, and El Salvador were found. Minors and families were placed with the state system for the integral development of the family. Adults were transported to the INM in Veracruz for their pending immigration status. The driver of the trailer was taken into custody. A passenger plane crashed in the Amazon rainforest Saturday, killing all 14 people on board. The 12 passengers and 2 crew members took off from the state capital of Manaus. The aircraft was attempting to land in heavy rain when it crashed. Reporters say that the passengers were Brazilian tourists on their way to a fishing trip. The Brazilian Air Force has sent a team to Manaus to gather information and evidence that could be used to investigate the crash. An Italian acrobatic air team plane also crashed on Saturday during a practice run, killing a child on the ground. The aircraft struck a car carrying a family, killing a 5-year-old girl. The other passengers included the parents and a 9-year-old child who were treated for burns. The pilot ejected from the aircraft also suffered burns. The plane was practicing for a show on Sunday celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Italian Air Force. There is no immediate report on the reason for the crash. 5 Americans held in Iran were released in a trade made with the U.S. U.S. officials say the individuals were wrongfully detained. The 5 Iranians who were traded will be charged with non-violent offenses. At this point, they have landed in Qatar, where U.S. Ambassador Timothy Davis collected them and will be flown out to the U.S. The 5 Americans held in Iran were imprisoned after a conviction in collaboration with the U.S. government. The U.S. government agreed to a trade with prisoners allowing the access to around $6 billion in frozen oil assets. Nationals created an agreement that the money must be allocated towards humanitarian resources only. The money is coming from an account in South Korea. Protests in Iran took place this weekend to honor the 1-year anniversary of Mahsa Amini's death. The 22-year-old Iranian woman died last year in custody of police. She was initially arrested for reportedly not wearing her headscarf properly. Rallies held in Tehran, Massa, Arak, and other cities in Iran have also taken place as protesters joined in. Similar demonstrations were held in other cities like Paris, Brussels, and Germany. Some protesters say that the battle has only begun and will continue until total freedom is given to Iran. The annual Climate Week event kicked off this Sunday in New York. The week will feature protests, a special UN summit, and events with business, health, politics, and arts leaders. A primary focus of this year's event is the phasing out of fossil fuels, which the United Nations says needs to be changed to meet international goals. The Climate Ambition Summit will take place on Wednesday, with only leaders from nations that bring meaningful action will be allowed to speak. Leaders from China, the United Kingdom, Russia, France, and the U.S. will not be present. That's the very latest from the Digital Media Center. I'm Alex Perez. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Alex. A European tech regulator has fined popular social media app TikTok $368 million after claiming the app does not protect children. The Irish Data Protection Commission oversees TikTok activities in the European Union and says the app allowed new accounts created by children to be automatically set to public view, meaning anyone can view their videos. TikTok didn't explain the privacy risk to kids and used something called dark patterns, which guided users to expose more personal information. European privacy chief Elaine Fox says they disagree with the fine since they changed their rules in 2021. She says they are trying to strengthen new features.
iPhone 12 users in France will receive a software update after concerns of radiation exposure. France's National Frequency Agency ordered the removal of iPhone 12 from the French market unless Apple takes a course of action to correct their cell phones. Apple says they exceeded specific absorption rate regulations for the iPhone 12. It calculates the source being used to the rate of energy absorption of the body. France's Minister for Digital Economy took to X, saying Apple will set an update for the iPhone 12 in the next few days.
When we come back, can online sports betting be making a return to Florida? Also updates on Drew Barrymore's talk show. Stay with us.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back. In sports news, the Los Angeles Dodgers have secured another National League West title after their win on Saturday night. This revamped LA clubhouse found itself in a tight one in Seattle, going to extra innings versus the Mariners. But the boys in blue were able to pull out the win in the 11th inning with a score of 6-2. This marks 10 division titles for the Dodgers in the past 11 years, and yet another postseason appearance for star pitcher Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw says he will enjoy this win as he doesn't know when it will be his last.
What team are you going for this year?
Honestly, I'm not too big of a baseball fan, but I'd have to say the Dodgers just because, we're in LA.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Los Angeles Angels star Shohei Ohtani emptied out his locker after Friday's loss. The Japanese star will now focus on his elbow injury after the Angels were officially eliminated from playoff contention. Ohtani had already missed 11 games prior to being shut down and could possibly be facing another Tommy John surgery. He will be weighing other options this offseason to take care of that elbow, and will also be headed into free agency. It is possible the two-way star might have played his final game as an Angel.
The CSUN Matadors went head-to-head against LMU Lions Sunday night, celebrating alumni. This is their 7th game of the season and ended in a scoreless draw. The Matadors averaged 11 shots in total, with 6 shots on target. 8 yellow cards were given in the heated clash between the Matadors and the Lions. CSUN even received a red card in the 84th minute, which forced the Matadors to be down 1 man for 6 minutes. CSUN now has a record of 2 wins and 1 defeat and 4 draws. They're scheduled to travel to University of Portland Pilots this Thursday at 7 p.m.
You may want to place your bets on Florida. Online sports betting in the Sunshine State may have its federal ban revoked. In 2021, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a gaming compact that gave the Seminole Tribe of Florida control of sports wagers. South Florida gaming attorney Daniel Wallach says Wes Flagler Associates filed a lawsuit against the Seminole Tribe because it violated federal law which forced online sports betting operations to close. A federal court judge says unless Wes Flagler files an appeal to either the Supreme Court or state, the Seminole Tribe will get their way. A decision is expected this month.
High school student athletes all across Southern California have for years been dealing with a lack of athletic trainers. Valley View News' Alex Perez spoke with local students and coaches who say they deserve better.
Thousands of LAUSD high school students are currently participating in sports all across Los Angeles County. According to the California Athletic Trainers Association, about 95% of schools in the district do not have athletic trainers, and California remains the only state that doesn't mandate high schools to provide an athletic trainer or have licensing and regulations in place for them. Leonardo Contreras is a student athlete at Southgate High School and says his team has struggled this year as a result of it.
There's some players that don't play in games where they can probably be cleared to play, or there's instances where they feel like they can't play and they don't play because we don't have anybody to let us know if we're good enough to play and clear us.
Southgate High remains one of many that don't have a trainer. Southgate coach Francisco Saldana says students deserve better.
Number one priority is student safety, and as coaches, that's our number one priority. Football is second nature. We try our best always to do what's best for the student athlete, and we need all the help we could get, man.
Unlike Southgate, Bell High School found itself in a position to gain an athletic trainer through a nonprofit organization. The Helping Enrich Athletes' Lives program, also known as HEAL, helps thousands of students on and off the field.
I feel that comes to a great necessity to the fulfillment of our needs. Not just that, but because we live in a community that we're not accommodated to having athletic trainer. Everybody, when they heard we're going to get an athletic trainer, they were like, what's that?
Bell High School is now one of only 12 historically undeserved schools to be taken under HEAL. The program will give them access to trainers, new equipment, and even injury clinics. However, this still does leave out over 90% of all LAUSD schools. Reporting from Southgate, I'm Alex Perez for Valley View News.
Alex, thank you. Russell Brand is defending himself from a series of sexual assault allegations. The actor shared a video on social media where he denied receiving messages from an unnamed media source about the criminal claims. 4 women told British news outlets Brand sexually assaulted them in separate occasions between 2006 to 2013. One woman says she was 16 and the actor was 31. Another woman says she had to go to a rape treatment center. Brand's literary agency and representative Tavistock Wood cut ties with Brand. The actor says the allegations happened when he was struggling with drug and sex addiction.
Co-founder of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Jan Wenner, has now been removed from the board of directors. Wenner was taken off the board after comments he made in a New York Times interview. The 77-year-old was asked about the panel of all-white male musicians and when asked why there were no women or musicians of color in them. His remarks were later deemed racist and sexist. Wenner later faced criticism and said maybe he should have gone and found one black and one woman artist to interview.
Drew Barrymore has paused production of her daytime talk show after receiving backlash to continue the show even with the writer's strike. She posted an apology on Instagram saying she just wanted to move forward. Barrymore decided she and the crew were going to return for their 4th season and not promote any film or television shows. In the emotional video, the actor said she accepted responsibility and that her intent was to never hurt anyone. The Drew Barrymore show was expected to premiere September 18th.
Look how cute. The first red panda cub was born at the San Diego Zoo. Her name, Pavitra, which means sacred in Nepali. She was named just in time before International Red Panda Day, so perfect timing. It's the first red panda born at the San Diego Zoo since 2006.
I'd never seen a red panda until this one was born. It's very cute.
Really? There was a Pixar movie just a few years ago about red pandas, and that's where I learned about them.
I'll have to add it to my watch list.
And that's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Lauren Hanna.
And I'm Ali Najera. For stories any time of day, see our YouTube channel at Valley View News and our Instagram page at Valley View News CSUN. Thanks for watching.